Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. Say every night on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You know who I am. I am the 5-star general. Today was Martin Luther King Day across the country. And some people are just not genuine. Have we realized the dream? Or are we living a nightmare? Tonight we're going to talk about it. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in, because you know without you guys, I would not have a show at all. And I appreciate you taking the time out to tune in. I think what I'm going to do tonight is I'm not going to curse. So if you want the kids to listen in, I think that they should. I think the kids should listen in to what I'm going to talk about today. Today was Martin Luther King Day across the United States of America. And if we know the history of Dr. King and what he stood for and what he went through and what he did for us, then we should all be happy as Americans. He helped transform the United States of America. And along the way, there were a lot of other influential people that took walks and marches with him and sacrificed themselves as well as their families and their bodies to get us to a point where we could be considered more than 3/5 of a man. As an African American, I don't take that lightly. I am very, very grateful for what my ancestors did for me. I am grateful every time I go to a restaurant and I don't have to go to the back door to get my food. I'm very, very grateful when I go to the voting polls and I don't have to count jelly beans in order to cast my vote. I'm very grateful that when I drive through a predominantly white neighborhood, that I'm not being targeted. Some people continue to be, but I have not been targeted. So I'm very, very grateful for what the ancestors went through. You can never take that from them. And someone asked me, did I go to the MLK parade in H-Town? No, I did not. I have my reasons as to why. That's what brings me to talk about what I'm talking about tonight. Are we realizing this man's dream, or are we living a nightmare? That's the question. I think that we've lost focus as a people. I think that we use his birthday as a means to get an extra day off. Yeah, I'm talking to you black folk. I think it's just another day that we can barbecue. You know, the bottom line is, if we had done what we were supposed to do, his dream would be a reality. It doesn't take 60 years for a dream to come true. Dreams come true every day. But something happened. Somewhere the ball was dropped, and we are now living in a total nightmare. Now, what I want you to understand, this is nobody else's opinion but my opinion. So if you got a favorite politician that you need to hear me, you need to text him right now, because I'm finna break this thing down, man. If you got somebody that wants to debate the point of Dr. King and different things, because nothing I'm going to say tonight is derogatory towards Dr. King. Nothing. I can't say that doesn't apply to other people, because somewhere along the way, we dropped the ball. We dropped the ball. And I'm not going to say that we dropped the ball. Not my age bracket. The people that fought for the dream. Remember, you older folk that are now considered seniors, you dropped the ball. You didn't finish your assignment. You didn't finish your assignment. Once you got what you wanted, you left the rest of us out there to fiend for ourselves. You left us out there to learn our history without you continuing to teach it to us. You left us out there because you got your 40-acre and a mule, you got your house, you paid for it, and you didn't want to bother with us youngsters that were born during the 60s. See, you during the 60s, you were young people, and I applaud you, but you dropped the ball. And the only thing I can tell y'all is the truth. So there are going to be some black folk out there tonight that get upset and get offended by what I'm about to say. But let's listen to a snippet of the iconic speech, and let's see if we've achieved the dream.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, Let freedom ring, and if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
An iconic speech, to say the least. We live in a very diverse country. We live in a country that is segregated by the likes of a few individuals. They create the segregation. They create the divisiveness. This is not his dream. This is not his dream. I was reading something, and I want to share it with you, what I read, and I just put a couple of new words in it. So let's go. I'm gonna share the screen, and we're gonna go and we're gonna read it. Okay. This is what I came across today. So let me read it to you. If I come across as a cynical critic of annual ML Day celebrations, please forgive me. You see, I believe just as vehemently today in Dr. King's dream as I did when I was a little boy growing up in Third Ward, Texas. I fear that we have fallen into a state of unconsciousness, allowing ourselves to confuse it with progress. We have confused diversity with equity, intent with outcomes, college access with student access, while many have come to expect someone else to challenge the status quo and to make things right. There are 5 things, y'all, that we have to do to achieve this dream. There are 5 things that we have to just flat out do to achieve this dream. So let me show you what them 5 things are. Okay, so let's go. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, there we go. First, we must see ourselves as part of the solution to the problem of social, economic, environmental injustices. While I am convinced that we are the ones we have been waiting for, more importantly, we are the ones with the energy and interest to hold those who say they represent our interests while saying a lot and doing little. It is imperative that we hold the people in charge accountable. This is what this is saying. So in order to have that dream fulfilled by this great man, we have to hold those in charge accountable. All right, let's go to number 2. Secondly, we must understand while voting is Critically important, it is not sufficient to secure the promise of democracy and of a more equitable and just society. Those whom we elect must be held accountable for pursuing a social action agenda consistent with the needs of Blacks, historically disenfranchised voters. Promises made as candidates must not be forgotten. It is well past the time that Black voters break free of the chains of party politics and get the best deal they can in exchange for our support. It is past time for Black and other disenfranchised voters to consider forming a third party, not necessarily with the idea of only winning elections, but with the goal of significantly influencing election outcomes to impact social and economic policies and programs in the long term. Let's go to number 3. 5 things we got to do to achieve his dream. Third, we must secure and retain control of those institutions paramount to the community building and sustainability. Chief among those institutions are historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. Care and attention must be exercised to make sure HBCUs are not swept up in the diversity, equity, inclusion movement of the moment, but rather led, governed, and controlled by people who possess the requisite cultural competence, commitment, passion, and expertise needed to lead those vulnerable institutions. The 4th thing we have to do. Blacks and other historically disenfranchised people who have benefited and who continue to benefit from opportunity afforded to them because of the sacrifices made by Dr. King and others must be willing to pay their fair share through the mentorship of younger generations. We must be willing to invest financially in community-based organizations, programs, and services that support Black youth, including scholarship endowments at HBCUs. Lastly, the 5th thing we have to do, we must make some noise. While we can take some silence from the fact that when young Black women and men die at the hands of police officers and others, we protest in large numbers. However, when Blacks are strangled at the hands of state legislators, we remain silent. One of the most important lessons we should learn from Dr. King's life is the power of organized, collective, and sustained protests. We have grown too far to reserve in our protests and too differential to those we elect to represent us, and they do not rise to fight the clear and present dangers threatening our democracy, and we must hold them accountable. Those are the 5 things that we have to do. Those are the 5 things that we have to do. We are not realizing that young man's dream. He was a young man when he died, because we're too busy lining our pockets. The gatekeepers who are supposed to make sure that we are where we need to be are not representing us. They're not doing it. I'm sorry, but they're not doing it. Did you notice we have to mentor the young? And that's why I say that the older people, the older people, the seniors, you didn't finish your assignment. You didn't mentor us like you should have. You left us to fend for ourselves. And as we have gone on generation to generation, the mentoring has realistically slowed down to a halt. It has slowed down to a halt. But yet we want to get out and we want to celebrate this man, but we're not living in the spirit of him. Did you hear what he said? Little black boys, little white boys, little white girls, little black girls living in the same world. So explain to me why we would allow anything to have us divided. Talk to me, people. Those that are out there that are the gatekeepers. I'm in Harris County. I'm talking about Ellis. I'm talking about Turner. I'm talking about Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm talking about every elected black official that have turned their backs on the black community. But in order for us to achieve his dream, we got to start getting somebody that's going to help us get something out the deal. Oh, man. Oh, man. I didn't write that. Somebody else wrote it, and I needed you to hear that. We can't even have one parade in the city of Houston. You know why? Because it's about money. Somebody drunk the money Kool-Aid. So now all of a sudden, we're divided on his day as a people. We have to decide which parade we're going to be in, which parade we're going to go to. And yet you celebrate this man at both of those parades. I have a problem with you guys. See, Dr. King didn't want my voice to be stifled. He would expect for the white man to silence me. But no, it's my own people that don't want me to tell the truth. That's not his dream. See, he knew he made some mistakes. Yeah, he may have integrated us into a burning house. So he knew he made some mistakes. He figured that out when he applied for a permit to buy him a gun. He may have made some mistakes, but the overall message of what he preaches, the gatekeepers, the ones that we trust, are failing us on a daily basis. As a black people, we're piss poor as community members. As a black people, we're piss poor as parents. And parents on a lot of different levels. Parents on a lot of different levels. But yet, we want to say, and we want to get out here, and we want to act like we're living his dream. No, we're living in the middle of a nightmare. Now, I know I'm stepping on some of y'all toes. They fought for me to say what I needed to say. So the comment about little black boys and little black girls and little white boys and little white girls, don't be mad at me because I got white friends. Don't be mad at me because I hang out with a different political party. Put some respect on my name. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about anybody like me. There's too much division to ever realize his dream. We're confusing diversity with equity. We're confusing it. We feel because we're diverse that it's equitable now. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. But the gatekeepers ain't doing nothing. See, King started the ball rolling. Him, Rosa, Fred Shuttlesworth, even old Jesse, them back in the day, John Lewis. Let me tell you something. They started the ball rolling. They got us to the polls. Where you gatekeepers been since the 60s? You haven't even got black people the full right to vote yet. He started the work and you didn't finish it. And now you run around and you talk about we're fighting for our democracy. We're fighting for voters' rights. No, you're not. You're fighting to put money in your pocket. You haven't even gotten us the full right to vote. But people can come here from other countries illegally and have that right fully that we don't have, because every 25 years they have to go in and vote to give us the right to vote. So what are the gatekeepers doing? It is time for you to wake up. Your vote is your power. And if you got to cut a deal with the other side to get the best thing that you can get for you and yours, then do what you need to do. That's what you're going to have to do. I've given up on Dr. King's dream. Whoa, what you saying, dude? I'm finna live the American dream. I ain't got time to wait on the gatekeepers no more. I want to live in a house behind a gate in a gated community. I want 7 figures in the bank. I want 5 cars in my driveway. But if I continue down this road that y'all got me on, I'll die a martyr and I'll die poor. You have to wake up and clearly understand they're not living this dream. They're going to barbecue. They're going to have these parades. They're going to stand in front of the microphones and they're going to flat out lie. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. So I'm cutting deals for my family. I'm cutting deals for my children. I'm cutting deals for my grandchildren. The hell with one party that don't want to take care of me. The hell with one party that don't want to represent me the right way. I'm cutting deals because I got to leave mine something, bro. Because the ones that's in charge, they kids are good. So what about us average Joes? The Jimmys and the Joes. What about us? What about, and I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about everybody. See, because Clean was inclusive. He was talking about everybody. What about the poor white guy that lives in the trailer park? What about my Latino brothers that's out here struggling every single day? You guys say that you work for us, but yet we can't get you to pick up the phone when we got a problem. But we can no longer remain silent if we're trying to live his dream. No, we're going to have to raise some hell and step on some toes. How dare anybody black that's in a position of power have a problem with me for just telling the truth? Don't talk. I done heard this so much in the last 3 days. You shouldn't talk to Monroe. Why? Because I tell the truth. That y'all ain't doing nothing for us. I've been attacked. Guy putting out pictures of me with a colostomy bag. It ain't a picture of me. It's just a little fat guy on the picture. But you living and you celebrating Dr. King's dream today. Because you're mad because I tell the truth. We won't fight for democracy, let alone fight for a quality education for our children. We won't fight for democracy when we can't stop black on black crime. We cannot have democracy, nor can we live this great man's dream until we hold the gatekeepers accountable. We live in a city where African-American people are prominent, with an African-American mayor that don't give a damn about none of us. We live in a city where we have single member districts on our city council, our school board. Show me what they've done for black children and black people in general. Talk to me about this dream, man, because I think we live in a nightmare. This city's segregated. We have a black police chief that no longer answers the phone. But before you became the chief, you picked up that phone every day. But see, this is about politics. This is not about living Dr. King's dream. The dream is simple. We need to start working for the American dream. Because I'm not firing up the pit on this day. I'm not hanging out. I'm not, and I'm pro-black every day of the week. Let's get that straight. I'm too raw for MTV and I'm too black for BET. I'm pro-black every day. But it's some things that I just don't partake in. I don't partake in fakeness. We're out here and our children are under attack. Sex trafficking. Pedophiles running loose in this city. But yet our gatekeepers staying in press conferences with people that have committed sexually related crimes against children. But we live in his dream. We're not living his dream. You folks that are in power are partying. You are going to parties, you're taking pictures, you're lying like you're taking care of the community. It's a select few people that take care of our communities, and y'all show up to take pictures like y'all doing it. We can't live this dream with uneducated children. We can't live this dream in a society that is becoming more violent by the minute. We can't live this dream when you're taxing the poor out of decent housing. We can't live this dream. So as much as y'all get out there and do what you do, I need you to clearly understand one thing. You shall reap what you sow. It won't be the black man that destroys. It won't be the white man that destroys the black population. It'll be us. See, we put our trust in the wrong people. We're the most trusting people on the face of the earth when it comes to black people. And we stay getting got. But yet we get out and we celebrate the dream of Dr. King. I hope y'all had fun today. Because guess what? Get your black behind up in the morning and go punch that clock. I hope you had fun today. Send your child back into those schools and they're not safe from a physical standpoint or from a medical standpoint. I want you to clearly understand that we are throwing it all away. We're trusting the wrong people. The gatekeepers that have been in office for 20 or 30 years. We keep talking about fixing the same thing over and over and over again. We get out here and we support the same people over and over and over again. And yet we get nothing out of the deal. Explain that to me. Explain. I know I'm on my rant tonight. I know that I am somewhere different. This is what I think about on a daily basis. I don't have to celebrate being black on one day. I'm proud to be black 365 days a year. We are getting nothing out of the deal. You fall for the symbolism of everything. We have the first African American vice president, female vice president. What you got out the deal? You wanted Biden. What you got out the deal? Look at just your legislators. How did they fight for you? Instead of fighting, they jumped on a plane. They jumped on a plane. They don't know how to strap it up and go up in on that floor of that house in Austin and battle for us. They would rather run and get on a plane. But these are the gatekeepers. These are the ones that are going to make sure that the dream come true. These are the ones that are fighting for our democracy. Am I right or wrong? These are the ones. These are the ones. I need you to clearly understand. We ain't living no dream. We live in a nightmare. So if we're living the dream, if we're achieving his dream, if we're getting close to his dream, why is it right now you have to show up somewhere, the bulk of our people, black, white, and indifferent, and somebody gives you a bag of groceries in the United States of America? You couldn't come up with no money, but you give us a bag of groceries like we're supposed to be happy with that. Before you take your next turkey, why don't you ask that politician, did they bomb? When are they going to spend their own money to take care of us? More importantly, don't put me in a position where I have to beg and stand in line. Put me in a position where I don't have to even be in the line. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? But they can't do that because the politicians have a dream. They have a dream of passing their political seats down to people in their families. They have a dream of making as much money as they can and staying in office until they're crippled, blind, and crazy. That's their dream. That is their dream. You feel what I'm saying? Boy, I could go on for days on this because I'm not asleep. My eyes ain't closed no more. And if any of y'all politicians out there don't need to speak to Gary Monroe, then don't speak to him, because I'm not going to stop preaching. I can preach a better sermon than your mega pastor and don't even ask you for a quarter of your money. You got that we live in his dream. Well, I think that if you're a pastor and you got a mega church, won't you make sure everybody in your church lives in a decent house? That's part of the dream. I have a dream that one day dumbass black people gonna wake up. I have a dream that black people gonna start going to these school board meetings and fighting for their children. I have a dream that we shut the whole city down until they do something about this crime. I have a dream. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So a part of his dream, and I know that's in there, that our children should get a quality education. That right now in the city of Houston, it is a joke. It is a joke. Everybody is in bed with URSA funds. Now, my good friend over in Hinesville, Georgia, I want you to pay close attention because I'm finna give you a lesson on something. I want to, let's make sure. Okay. All right. I'm going to share a screen with you. I want to share a screen with you. This screen that I have up is, I had to send this to my email. And we have people that are trying to help our children get a quality education. As a Texas state legislator, when I win, one of my main functions is to make sure that laws are put in place to make sure that we get a quality education. To make sure that we get a quality education. Right now, with these ERSA funds, this CARES Act money that's coming into these school districts, there's a lot of maneuvering going around. There's a lot of people who have positioned themselves put themselves in a place where they can make tons of money. Tons of money. Yesterday, I had a conversation with two very, very important people as it pertains to our school system. And I want to tell you about the trickery that's going on about the money. So let's bring this down. Good Reason, Houston. Board of Directors. What the hell is Good Reason? It's a nonprofit, and this nonprofit actually controls the day-to-day operation of the Houston Independent School District. So what do you mean? They control the day-to-day, Mr. Monroe. That means that our superintendent does not make the decisions. The decisions come from his deputy superintendent, who I threw under the bus the other night, Rick Cruz, who takes his cues from Deanna Davila and Terry Greer, but he also takes his cues from Good Reason Houston and their board of directors. So who is actually on the board of directors? Let's look. Scott McClellan, HEB president. I thought you sold food, dude. Why you so embedded in our school district? Let's go to the next name. Adib Bakwak, whatever. Adib. He's the president and CEO of Pro Unitas. He's also a vendor with the Houston Independent School District with Pro Unitas. Supposedly they help schools get out of IR and they do all this stuff. Bob Harvey, the president and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership. Manolo Sanchez, the director of Fannie Mae. Let's keep going. Jose Villarreal, whatever, nonprofit consultant, and Peter Rodriguez, dean and professor. So I want to go down here. There's another. I need you to look at that first list. Let's go back to that list. This is the group that controls the day-to-day of the Houston Independent School District. Mr. House, you're not making the decisions. Your chief of schools doesn't do anything but sit in her office all day and eat. Tell your chief of schools to tell us, when is the last time she visited a school? Well, she had a lot of time from the date that she showed up in Houston, which was around August 19th, give or take a few days. She showed up, but she didn't start work until late September, early October. So can you tell us why she's never visited a school since August? But more importantly, you were paying her the whole time that she wasn't even working. Where we do that at? My man, Rick Cruz, my teachers cannot even get the support that they need on the campuses. The principals can't get the support from the CARES Act money that you guys got on our campuses. But yet Rick Cruz creates 60 new positions at the administrative level. For what reason? So the money from CARES Act is being spent at the administrative level but not at the school level. Rick, are you mad yet? I'm exposing you too much. Well, there's a contract that was passed, and it's with a company called iEducate. It's called iEducate. These are the advisors of iEducate. I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. These are the advisors. Adib shows up again. So now you have multiple contracts with our school district. The next name I want to dig off into. So you have a contract with the school district, Zep Capo. Who's Zep Capo? For many years, he was the president of the Houston Federation of Teachers. Now he is at the level, of president of the Texas Federation of Teachers. So let me ask you a question. Would this be considered a conflict of interest? Dude, why do you have a contract with the Houston Independent School District? To go back a second, and also one of the people, I can't remember his name, but up here in this board of directors for Good Reason Houston is the guy that created Yes Prep. So we have people that are purposely sending our kids down the toilet that have charter school ties till this day. Why is Zep Capo on the board of directors for a company that's supposed to be supplying all these new tutors and all that? I told y'all he was dirty. And you know what? I just want y'all to understand that today, mysteriously, this board of directors for this particular company, if you go to the website of iEducate, the board of directors no longer exists. It isn't there. But the thing is God made me screenshot it. You took it down. You took it down. Maybe your IT guy could see who was going to the site, but you took it down. Is this because you're trying to protect Mr. Capo? You know, Joe Felix is next. Mala Makila is a board member, but let's keep going. There's more. Yusha Menon, and this name right here, Harvin Moore. Who's Harvin Moore? Former HISD trustee. So you don't want to be the trustee no more. You didn't run for re-election when you could have. So now you come back into the building as a vendor. And you know what's best for our children. All these people are scheming for money. But we out here celebrating Dr. King's dream, and they robbing us blind. Last but not least, let's keep going. Judge R.K. Sandil. You serious, Judge? So now we got a judge, a sitting judge that's making money off our children. And last but not least, the mayor's educational czar, former HISD trustee Juliet Stepetch. Do y'all see what I'm trying to show y'all? That these people are making a mint off of our children. Rick Cruz takes his cues from who he needs to take it from, but the people that are running our school district right now is a guy that owns a goddamn grocery chain. The people that are running HISD is Scott McClellan, Adib, Bob Harvey, Manolo Sanchez, Jose Villarreal, Peter Rodriguez, and let's see who else. These people have just gotten a contract, Adib again, Zep Capo, who's over the Texas Teachers Union for AFT. These people are making money hand over foot over our children. And as long as they can keep pushing this pandemic, as long as they can keep dealing with these masks, they're going to say they need to keep this contract. It's all tied to money. And you got two former trustees that are on this board, and that is Harvin Moore and Juliet Stepetch, and you even got a judge, R.K. Sandil, and guess what, Mr. Sandil? We'll take care of you on election day, big homie. You ain't finna be around here pimping our kids, man. It's far more I got. These people are the worst that I've ever seen. So where am I at? Because we got to get to Dr. King's dream. And one of his dreams was to make sure that our kids got a quality education. They fought to get us into these schools. And now that we're in there, we're not being educated at all. Not just black kids, but every kid. They're not being educated. So what do we need to do in the Houston Independent School District? It needs to be cleaned out. Well, some people will say, well, you're saying it needs to be taken over. Whoa. Because even if TEA took over HISD, there's a plot within itself in that. What you talking about, man? It seems that my man, Rick Cruz, the deputy superintendent, has gotten real cozy with the TEA commissioner. And allegedly, if House doesn't work out, or if we take over the district, you'll be the next superintendent, according to the TEA commissioner. And the TEA commissioner doesn't have a clue that Rick Cruz is the dumbest that I've ever seen in my life. He walks around the district. He acts like he's totally in charge, in which he is. He's created positions for all of his friends. There's a guy that he has elevated to a director position, a high-ranking position that used to make ID cards at Jackie A. Senior High School 3 years ago. He was the IT guy at Jackie A. Senior High School. And now he's jumped over everybody because he's on Cruz's team. So let me tell you how the teams work. Cruz has a team, House has a team. Cruz team don't give a damn about nobody. They don't care about nobody. House's team thinks that I'm just a loudmouth Negro. The only team in the building that got common sense is the legal team. Because you know what legals told both of them? You need to take Monroe serious. Everything he brings to the table is valid. What I want you to do, Rick and Mr. House, is clearly understand. You two astronauts with your brains connected together as Siamese twins, I will walk circles around you. Mr. House, I had good faith in you for a second. But brother, all you are is a black face. You good at standing in front of the cameras. And oh yeah, by the way, didn't Rick promise you to introduce you to the movers and shakers like Nancy Kinder and all these people? Yeah. You're going to introduce him to all the movers and shakers. And Rick, you got all the movers and shakers believing that you can do the job. And if you end up being superintendent, you're going to end up in the federal penitentiary. Rick Cruz, I will not sleep if you end up being superintendent, because I will gut you, brother, with what I know. You feel what I'm saying? So even if they were to take over the district, Rick then put himself in a position to become the appointed superintendent. The conservator, Dolores Delaney, ain't worth the ground that she walk on. So that means TEA, the teachers union, the dirty ass politicians, everybody's in bed with HISD. So what can we realistically do about it? It needs to implode. It needs to implode. Now, Mr. House, as you're sitting there watching this video, I know far more than you could ever imagine. I know far more than you could ever imagine. And brother, you came down here and people had high hopes for you, and they thought that you were going to be the next coming of sliced bread. But you're just a Negro that need to sit in front of the cameras. I need you to listen to this. I will be there the day you pack your stuff to go. Now, I turn up the juice. Now, I turn up the juice. Because you're not going to do what you need to do. You don't know how to do it. Oh, and by the way, we know how you got the job, Rick. The only way they would hire a House is if he made you his deputy. So, Mr. House, ask yourself one question. Either I'm stupid or I know everything that you know at this point. So here's my thing. I'm going to implode you. None of you people are working for our children. That CARES Act money is just being spent on your people. Y'all making money hands over foot. How do you tell me that the president of the Texas Association, the Texas American Federation of Teachers, is on a contract for the Houston Independent School District, El Capo? Y'all didn't take the site. You didn't take the page down fast enough. You didn't take the page down fast enough. But in order for us to live Dr. King's dream, we're gonna have to be bold. And what did one of that fifth thing say? That fifth point that we need to do to achieve the dream, we cannot be silent. And I'm not going to be silent. Every one of you politicians that I don't like, you are now my worst enemy. You're not fighting for our democracy. You're fighting to line your pockets. And it's painfully obvious. From the little slick white envelopes you get with cash in it, to the briefcase that's delivered to the state capitals. Understand what I'm saying. I know everything. And by the way, I've told you and I'm going to remind you, don't ever make this personal. You don't want it to be personal. Because anything that affects my family will affect yours. And that's a promise. So if you guys think that Mr. House is going to come in here and he's going to change HISD, no, he's not. He's going to pad his resume and he's going to move on. Then they're going to try to slide Rick into his position. Rick Cruz is a snake. And all of you important people out there that's believing what he's spitting to you, you're stupid too. This man was a 5th grade teacher. And now he's all the way up there. Yeah, in business, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. But he doesn't have the skills nor the experience to be making some of the decisions that he's making. You are completing the assignment of Deanna Davila, and Davila plans to run for the board again, y'all. You know why? Because it's another bond coming up. And she got to get her money out of them construction contracts. You're finishing the job of Abdallah. Mr. House, you're an African American. Can you tell me how many African Americans you've shifted around, quote unquote, or Rick has shifted around since your arrival in Houston? How many African Americans have been demoted that can flat out do the job? Because this was the assignment of DM Davila, to get rid of all these high-ranking white folk and African Americans and install her people. So all of y'all out there that love Rick Cruz, I said he's a snake, and I stand on that. Y'all ain't smart, man. Y'all not smart at all, bro. I tell you what you are. You dirty. You're dirty as all outdoors. Yes, you are that. But yet today, Mr. House, you were the Grand Marshal of the MLK Grand Parade. How'd it feel to be a sellout Negro? You only came for the money, brother. And that's what it is. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you pack your stuff early. And by the way, the next time you have a principals meeting, don't forget to tell all of us that you've talked to the FBI. Ain't that what you told your principals 2 Wednesdays ago? Or whenever? Ain't that what you told them in the last principal meeting, that you have been questioned by the FBI? You starting off wrong, dude. Let them people get your ass in trouble. You'll go to jail too. They don't care who they take. So every day, I'm going to tell you this here. I'm going to end my show with telling you what I'm going to fight for. As a Texas state legislator, when I finish dismantling any opponent that gets in my way, I am going to fight for a quality education for every single child in the state of Texas. I'm going to fight for the American dream, that every single child should get a quality education. I'm going to fight for the fact that the TEA commissioner's position does not need to be an appointed position. It needs to be an elected position. I am going to fight for that trustees now have to get a stipend, but at the same time cannot accept money from the unions or from vendors. That's what I'm going to fight for. Now, if y'all mad about that campaign against me, bring it. Because enough is enough. We are putting out a society of children that have no education, not a lack of, but no education. And we got to do better than that. But the only way we're going to do better, we got to get the right people in office. You feel me? So it is what it is. It's a reason I'm the best in the business. Every night, 7 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Say, man, get on your phone and call your people, because it's going down. And you know who I am? I am the 5-star general, HISD. It's all about the money, baby. But we finna follow the URSA funds. Keep your TV locked to your local news channel. There's something coming down the pike, big homie. Compliments of 5-star. I holler at you.